Hey, everybody, I'm David Bloom, co-founder of Next TMT Newsletters and this here podcast, Next TMT Talks, for our midweek look-in alongside our media partners at Media Play News. I'm here with my co-founder, Daniel Frankel. We are both bleary-eyed and somewhat punch-drunk after 4 days, 3.5 days, however long it seems like it might have been 3 years, on the floor at NAB, the sprawling National Association of Broadcasters Conference. I also spent some time at the Adobe Summit at the nearby Venetian Conference Center. It used to be called the Sands. Sands have blown away with the sands of time, and the Venetian owns it all. But it was a lot of conventioneers. No CES, but a lot of people, generally. Generally, Dan, we will be talking about a few things. Roku, channels, making like Amazon. NFL predicts even more fragmentation if Brendan Carr gets too carried away with his whole antitrust exemption. While the NAB does indeed, in fact, channel AI, while Reese Witherspoon gets grief for it. And finally, Trump Media has a new CEO after a big share price plunge. Well, Daniel, let's start. What's occupying your mind now that we've both staggered back to the Los Angeles metropolis?
Well, I want to say a good time in Las Vegas. Got a chance to break bread with Media Play News and its impresario, TK Arnold. Thank you, TK, for a wonderful dinner.
He's more the ringmaster than the impresario. Don't you think?
I don't know. Maybe when I get some sleep, I'll break down the semantics. But
okay, all right.
A good show.
I think he'd look really good in a top hat. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, you can envision that for yourself.
Yeah.
No, good show. A little lightly attended. I remember being there under more packed, vibrant circumstances, and I heard a few folks who paid. I don't know how much you pay for those booths, but it's a lot. And they were saying, we didn't do the kind of business that justified this, that we have in years past. So I think like all large conferences that draw over 50,000 people wherever it is, maybe might be a change in. They've been saying that for a while.
Well, it's interesting to think about because like NAB went bankrupt, got bought, and then just got canceled for this year. NAB for years was a place where all the TV syndication companies and producers would show up and hawk their wares for not just the U.S. markets, but far beyond. And that
had
canceled.
Elton Johnson play the Johnson. I was thinking Magic Johnson. He played their
Magic John or Elton Johnson. Which one was it? Because they were like a really tall guy with big glasses playing piano. Or a really short guy
yeah, for sure,
with a fur coat, just dishing the sweet dimes left and right. I just want to know which one it was.
Right after the peak, they had George Thorogood and the Destroyers play.
Moving on over.
The King brothers were still dominant. Broadcast syndication was still a thing, but it wasn't quite what it was. And they courted these upstart internet companies as constituents and kind of
thought they might be big someday, right?
Hill. Up until, I guess, just now. The fact that they went this long, testament to somebody, I suppose.
That's probably true. It's actually, if your name is the National Association of Broadcasters, which they sort of elide a little bit by just saying, we're NAB, because broadcasting is now anything that has anything to do with video distributed in any way whatsoever on any platform you can imagine. At least that seems to be some of the programming and some of the sensibility, which totally makes sense. I'm not sure it's going to necessarily generate new attendees out of the creator crowd who are all waiting for VidCon, for instance. But if broadcasting and cable are down, and they are, streaming is up, but not as up as it was and not as profitable as broadcasting and cable were. And we have consolidation and fear of consolidation. I ran into somebody who was coming out of a meeting with a longtime client called Warner Brothers. And I said, how did it go? It was fine. I've been talking to him for a long time. It's like, well, how do you do anything if you're Warner Brothers to sign a contract for services 6 weeks from now, never mind for 2 years or something? I mean, all the providers are probably going like, I'm going to get rationalized out by David Ellison because he's going to squeeze everything down to one single provider, which probably is owned by, Larry Ellison.
I hear at Warner Brothers, they have special business cards where you write in your new corporate owner.
It's an erase board. It's really great. So you can write it in and then like magic ink, you can erase it because it'll change soon enough. So
Did you
they've
hear
gotten
about
pretty
this
used
new
to it by
David
now.
Zaslav spin that he really just wanted his job? He didn't want $500 million or whatever it was.
I think it's 770 million or something like that, actually.
He
But
doesn't
it's
really
only
want.
$270 million difference. He didn't really want to do that. He was forced against his will. He was incentivized by his board to extract the maximum amount of money. They gave him a gigantic chunk of stock to do so. And to his credit, for what it's worth, he's done his job. He took a stock going off at $11, got it sold for 30 and counting, and he will go laughing off into the sunset.
He could be I mean, with that money, you can be a media mogul somewhere. You can.
You could go and screw up another company and then sell it to another idiot with too much dough and do it again, rinse and repeat. I mean, Jeffrey Katzenberg did it. Why can't David Zaslav?
So let's get into it.
Just saying.
Roku.
So, anyhow,
I understand you had.
It's interesting because, among the people I talked with at the conference, Ted Citadine heads partnerships, president of media partnerships or something like that, for Roku. And Ted, former Fox guy, as is Roku's CEO, I think Charlie Collier, had a programming, Charlie Collier. Longtime Fox guy, is very well respected. And Ted is smooth as butter. You can see why they're happy to put him out front and have him talk to people like me. But he was talking about their channels program, which they've been doing for a little while, but it's really kind of working for them right now. They announced that they have a deal with Peacock's. They've added Peacock's ad-free component to the stuff that they offer. Yeah, this is like the latest iteration of Roku's self-identity. It starts out as this dirt cheap dongle maker that enables streaming. It's gone through all these things with the Roku channel and fast channels and, a platform with advertising and the ad-supported stuff. And now they're really pushing these subscription bundles because there's money there to be made for them and money to be made for the channel provider. We think about Amazon doing this stuff, and Amazon makes like $4 billion a year off its cut from all the
used to call it
channels
Amazon
it sells.
And
Yeah.
You sign up for it in their app, you play it in their app, and they collect. I don't know. It was like 30%. I think was the average.
I think it's 30%, and they own the customer.
Right. All that data. There's
all that data, and Roku is going to be a place where it's not obviously got that gigantic online store to do whatever it wants with and, put in-game, in-program links to stuff you can buy immediately by clicking on a QR code. But they can do a lot more with that, I suspect, and they're really getting into it. Speaking of channels, the NAB really channeled AI, to my mind. I mean, it felt like 2 years ago, it was about fear and loathing. Oh, my God, we're all going to lose our jobs. What's going to happen? Last year it was like, well, what is that thing? And this year it's like, no, here's where this workflow that we're doing, and you're going to put it in here across all this stuff, and we're going to have an orchestrator or manager thing on top of it to make sure it stays on brand and makes everything work, and it's going to be great. It's going to make everything faster. You can still have the same number of people. You don't need as many people maybe, but you're going to have more time to create. You can have more time to experiment and try things out because it won't be this big, long time suck. It'll just happen, and boom, and there it is, and you're on to the next thing. It's going to be awesome. That happened at the same time. Reese Witherspoon was impolitic enough to say, Hollywood, you should get over this stuff and just figure out what to do with AI because people got really unhappy about that.
Who was it? Was it
Sandra Bullock and Reese Witherspoon both said it, kind of.
Yeah, I don't think it's an unheard of opinion. So she took flack for this?
She took flack. It was, yes, we have a real war going on, so I will not go into any war metaphors, but she took a lot of, big shock. People online were unhappy. That's a headline. Let me tell you, people online were unhappy. But it's a little bit like she's just saying, look, now we should admit or acknowledge that Reese has done okay. Reese has made her money. She's not only got a book club named after her. Her Hello Sunshine has made a bunch of TV shows and I think a couple of movies that have done very well. And she sold the damn thing to Candle Media for $900 million, which it hasn't come close to making back.
Yeah, that was a bad deal, as they say.
That was a bad deal for everybody but Reese and her partner, her producing partner. But so she's got a little insulation here, but she's also coming from a producer standpoint, not just a former Legally Blonde star. To her credit, she has been a very savvy business person and continues to have a wide
Like
following
a
and
Legally Blonde
audience.
anniversary. Hasn't been like 20, 25 years or something.
I believe it's 25 years. Yeah, I used to be at MGM when Legally Blonde was their show, and United Artists, I think. But that was a terrific little movie, and she did great with it. The NFL. This is interesting because you and I kind of briefly touched on this. Brendan Carr, tool of the oligarchs, operating at the
Well, I
behest
didn't know
of
he
his
though.
only president,
Since his
and
last
Nepo.
was there.
What?
He wasn't an NAB. He was
He
conspicuously
wasn't. He was not there, but his spirit was felt. But he's been sort of threatening, that antitrust exemption if they don't keep the NFL on local broadcast.
right.
Free.
Schroeder, the head of media for the NFL, and the league requested a meeting late last week. I guess they got it, and FCC letter or NFL letter to the FCC, his deck was leaked today, and it's really interesting. It's like there's one graph where they show NFL ratings going way up and the broadcast ratings going way down, and the two are related. When the NFL is not there, broadcast is just
invisible.
There was this other graph that
they
showed
put out missing persons reports for it, for God's sakes. I mean, how much programming, how many episodes of Trapper can you run?
I'm just asking. You could watch every episode of Tracker, just so you know.
Tracker, not Trapper, but yes, Tracker, that one. I mean, it's like, and that show's done fine, and Landman crossed over, and etc. But people ain't lining up for broadcast because they want to watch what's left on broadcast. They're lining up to watch broadcast because they don't have any options, or it's got a football game on. So part of this is if you blow up the antitrust exemption, which allows them to collectively bargain, and it's resulted in $110 billion and counting deal that they're now starting to look in on and further enhance. All of a sudden, Jerry Jones runs rampant across the Midwest, licensing Dallas Cowboys programming here, there, and everywhere.
Right. Watch that Dallas Cowboys documentary on Netflix that came out a few months ago, where Jerry Jones happens upon the league, sent upon the league. I mean, he just blows their mind with how aggressive a capitalist he is. And this is a great.
That's called oil wildcatter spirit. That's what that is. Those guys, I mean, the Landman stuff gives you a little taste of it, but that's, they're not that different from the cartel owners in terms of aggression. Yeah.
There's not fewer owners like him now.
Right.
So
with Lamar Hunt gone, who was an oil man also, there really aren't, they're a lot more genteel these days.
So on this slide, one side is 32 owners. The other side, plus 32 platforms. This shows all Roku and Tubi and all these other, fast and broadcasters and cable channels and stuff. So basically, can you imagine a plane where every team negotiates its own media licensing deals? You want to talk about fragmented? I mean, that would be crazy. So it's like
that's also a fairly rational response to a somewhat desperate ploy, I think. Right?
The three four-dimensional chess players who brought you the Port of Hormuz.
The Strait of Hormuz.
Strait of Hormuz. Correct.
Where they make billions of dollars normally, not millions, billions.
It's warranted, but easy, Tiger. Yeah, it's a little nuts that they don't think of what the next step would be. But I thought that would
because if somehow you blew that thing up and it would impact Major League Baseball, and I think also the NBA has an exemption as well, I think, for collective bargaining. If you blow those up, then it only gets more fragmented, harder to find stuff, harder to get stuff on air, because if they don't have to go to broadcast, and if they're annoyed, they can just go to the highest bidder. And I don't know. I'm just betting Ted Sarandos might be able to help them, for instance, or the guys at YouTube.
We're not commies, right? We can do that.
Right. It would be really problematic for I mean, it's an interesting collision of very large interests, and it'd be interesting to see how that played out. But I do think it does suggest a lot of, again, the 40 chess has now shrunk down to 1.5D, maybe chess, which is pretty much straight line. Actually, it's a
If
dot.
you're owning a
1D is a dot,
wildly
but
successful media company and it loses, say, $700 million, you can fire the CEO. That's the kind of country
right.
we live in.
Right. Which is exactly what happened with Trump Media, which splashed out. It's a parent company of Truth Social,
That was what? True Social is losing money?
which somehow, well, Truth Social's had the most entertaining quarterly results reports you can imagine. It's like, we're valued at $6 billion. We made $16 million in revenue and lost $400 million along the way. They are close to coming out with the long promised Trump phone. There's actually been a sighting of this sort of reskinned Android phone that, of course, is encased in fake gold.
Right.
But the guy who was helping make that happen has taken over. Tom McGurn has taken over for Devin Nunes, the former congressman out of San Diego who made his original fortune as with a company founded that sold radar detectors. And I guess Devin didn't see this incoming on his radar, but he probably should have, given the state of their finances. I don't know that it's going to get better when Truth Social is largely Don Trump posting long things, and people are only paying attention as long as he's posting. I don't hear much coming out of there from anybody else.
Yeah.
It's not a culture shifter, other than the current president seems to spend a lot of time on it and is required to, actually, by the rules, by the contracts of his own company, that he posts there first and doesn't post on X or elsewhere first.
It's great content. It's got an audience. You should be able to monetize it, right?
You would think, but then who's the advertiser? And that becomes the next question. It's like, maybe right after inauguration, you're going to get a broad array, shall we say, of folks willing to advertise to suck up to the new administration. It may be more fraught now, but really that doesn't even matter if you don't have a big audience. What are you buying? And do you want to be up against, a guy saying the Pope is soft on crime or whatever?
They packaged it up like the midnight tantrum. You put some regular.
The Midnight Tantrum, that sounds like a 1970s movie from UA, or I don't know, maybe Warner Brothers would do the Midnight Tantrum. Charles Grodin would be in it.
All the tweets or whatever you call it, the Truth Socials overnight. You pack it with McDonald's breakfast advertisements.
Yeah, but then you got to get McDonald's there, and they're trying to get their prices down, for instance, because inflation really hammered them. I don't know. Maybe they can sell. I mean, you'd think that DoorDash would be all over it, but apparently not. Not enough to make up.
We may sound loopy. We should probably wind this down for the sake of
we are certainly winding down here. I think that's safe to say. But with that, I will wrap it up for what has been a very full week. This is our 5th podcasts in the last 6 days, I believe. So it's possible we may have an audience that's a little exhausted too. If you were at NAB, send along any thoughts you may have. We'd be delighted to hear about what your experience was. Or at the Adobe Summit, I got to see Shantanu Narayan talk with his old friend Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, the world's most valuable company, about their sort of shared experience and how AI will make actually Adobe's tools more accessible than ever because they're really powerful, but who uses more than 5% of them except really crazy, gifted weirdos. But, and then they hugged and walked off stage arm in arm into the dark as Shantanu wraps up 18 years as CEO. But 14,000 people showed up over there. It looked like a pretty full event to me. But all that being said, we are now safely out of Las Vegas, back to places with more consistently pleasant climate, and that isn't just controlled by a giant air conditioning system and a massive, endless casino or convention center. I'm sorry, what?
You make me want to go back.
You don't let me stop you, but okay. Anyway, with all that, I am David Bloom, the co-founder of Next TMT and Next TMT Talks, here with my co-founder Daniel Frankel and our media partner, Media Play News. You can sign up for our twice-a-week newsletters, which this week also included some show dailies at nexttmt.com. And also get this podcast on YouTube, on Apple Podcasts, and Spotify if you want to hear our golden words wherever they may
In the
reach
future,
you.
you can apply for membership with Next TMT. Make it sound like it's a
Yes.
guilt. We'll review you.
You know,
if you have
I had drinks with some AWS people at Zero Bond. They just opened Las Vegas Outpost in the Wynn of one of the high-flying private clubs of New York. It is a lovely place, I have to say, with, I don't know, some ridiculous amount of valuable art in it, thanks to Steve Wynn's background and Zero Bond's background. So we are indeed into private clubs these days, and this is one of them. So join or apply to join. You'll get in. You know, it's the thought that counts. Anyway, with that, I'll wrap things up. This is David Bloom for Next TMT and Media Play News. Over and out.